I'm so happy because I was almost about to give up on finding the badgers and the small babies and stuff, because all the dens I've been looking at, they just, like, the animals just disappeared. But last week I finally found it on a little island here in Denmark, a family of almost 10 badgers, and I've been photographing there for the past 7 days, and I'm going there again in 3 days from now to spend another 4 or 5 days, and I promise to share some of that with you. Today I'm going to share with you what I call my secret weapon for wildlife photography, the game camera, because that is the reason why I found these badgers. And I'm going to share with you how I set it up, how I choose which model to use, how I control it with MMS, some tips and tricks for actually getting animals instead of just grass moving. But I just want to find a nice place where we can sit. Before we move on, I want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. If you want a website, head over to squarespace.com/Morten Hilmer to start your 14 days free trial and use the off code Morten Hilmer to get 10% off your first purchase. So yeah, let's find the place, find the trail camera, and let's get started. This is just beautiful, look at this. So, the reason why I want to talk a little about these trail cameras is because it has made a huge difference for me. That has basically been the difference between getting the photos of the badgers this spring and summer and not getting them. So I think basically that's why I call this my secret weapon for wildlife photography, because even though I work as a full-time wildlife photographer and I can be out a lot in nature, there are still limits for how many hours I can actually spend out here, because I also have to do other stuff, you know, print fine arts, make photos for exhibitions, do talks, do emails, make YouTube videos like this one, stuff like that. So while I'm sleeping, while I'm in the office, this guy and 7 others, a little like this, has been my eyes and my ears in the forest, in the meadow. I'm going to share with you what I'm looking for when purchasing a trail camera, some of the things I believe you should look or pay close attention to when you get one. Then I'm going to talk about the most important thing, like how to set it up properly, because a lot of people just set it up like this height, pointing to where they want, but in my opinion, in a lot of cases that is not what you want to do, because you'll get a lot of photos of moving leaves, grass, all that kind of stuff. Let's get a closer look on this guy and let me tell you why I have chosen this one and this one to be like my trail camera of choice. So first of all, the brand I'm using is called SPROMISE, and this one is from a Danish website. I bought them from a website called jagt.dk. I'll put a link in the description, because then you can go in and check the specs on the camera, and if you can't buy from that store, you can probably find the camera somewhere else in your country. And these camera are under different names. That means it can be something called Burrell, or it can be called, I can't remember, Special Ops or something, because it's basically this camera just come under a lot of different names. This one is the one, I think I have 3 of them, and it's a 3G camera. And this one is the new one, I have 3 of them, is the 4G version. I would highly recommend getting the cameras that can send a photo to your phone, and the reason for that is part 1 in my little list of things I'm looking at. The ability to watch what's happening out there, what to say, like live, of 2 reasons. First of all, because I'm curious, I want to see what's out there. I want to have that in my memory so that every day, maybe at 7 or 8, bing, my phone comes up and the badger is there. And that made me kind of like remember, oh yeah, badgers always come out in the evening and in the morning, the fox can come out in the middle of the day, stuff like that. So I like to get them all the times coming in so that I can plan on going to the location when it's really good, rather than going out to check the camera every so often and find out that I should have been here a week ago because it's really good. If you set up a camera without getting the images on your MMS or on your phone, you risk to get out to 9,000 pictures or something like that with a little thing like a branch or a leaf moving in front of the camera, and it has just drained batteries and fill up the memory card. When you get it on your phone, you can see, okay, now there's something that should not be there, like a leaf going like this, and you have the chance to go out and correct it. So I think that is, for me, it's a game changer that I can control the camera, I can see what's happening out there. If there during the day is some movements, I send a code and then it'll turn it off, and I can send the same code, replacing the 3 with a 0, and it'll turn the sensitivity to high. So I can basically control everything in the camera directly from my phone, and that is a huge plus, and that's definitely worth paying for. The second reason why what I'm looking for the game cameras is actually the stability of the signal. Like, do they actually send photos? How stable are they? How much can I trust them in actually seeing what's going on out there? And these ones are really good. And the reason why I'm using game cameras and I love it so much is reason number 1, it's my ears and my eyes in the forest, in the meadow when I'm not there. Reason number 2, I do not disturb the animals, because me and the scientist were hanging up the game cameras around a badger's den with like 7 different holes. And if we have been sitting there day, morning, evening, every day in a week, we would definitely have disturbed this family. But with going out, placing these cameras all over different heights and different distances, we now have a pretty amazing feeling of what's going on, the rhythm of the family, how many individuals and so on, when do they come up, when do they go to bed, when do they go hunting, when do they play. All this behavior is so valuable, and it's sent directly to the phone. So I am really happy. So yeah, I'm looking for the stability, I'm looking for the ability to control it, to get photos on my phone. Then I am looking a lot on the durability, the waterproofness. It has the rubber sealing around here, of course room for memory card, room for the little telephone SIM card. It's so easy with these buttons. You can like preview the photos here. It's easy to set up the menu in different languages, like 12 batteries. These ones are rechargeable, so that when I go and look for the camera, I always bring extra batteries and an extra card, and I just replace these things, close it and hang it up again. Like, they are heavy duty, the battery lasts really long, the sensitivity can be adjusted from low, middle, high. You can control the camera from your MMS. They're just like so stable. When they run, and it's just amazing. It's a little hard to go into all the details, because the different brands I've tried, like either they eat the batteries very fast, or they are very slow from centering the animal to actually turn on from the sleep mode to getting the photos, where I think these ones are really good. The photo and video quality are pretty amazing. And yeah, basically if you want to buy a game camera, go and check out some reviews on different ones. Buy the one you like. This is the one I use, this one and this one, the 2 different models. I'll also link in the description to these models, as I said, to the website where I've bought them, so you can go and check the specs, and then maybe you can find it in your country, the one you need. One thing that's important is to always check up on the rules in your country, so that you don't hang, like you cannot, in Denmark you cannot just hang this up in public, of course. Then you'll be like a spy. But I'm in my own piece of land now, and therefore I can hang this wherever I want to, and that's what I do. And on the island we have a permission from the government to set up the cameras, because it's also a little science project, so that is perfect. So before we get to actually what I like the most, and what I think is the most important, like how you set them up properly with the distance, the angle, and what to be aware of, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. And I want to show you and tell you a little about why I'm using Squarespace to build a website for an upcoming project. It is really easy to get started without any knowledge because it's basically drag and drop. It is super intuitive and the support is awesome. If you just want to get started really fast, all you need to do is to go in, choose a template that you like, change the existing photos and the text with your own, and then you have an awesome starting point. And from there you can go in and customize your site with different styles, colors, font. You can easily create new galleries and portfolios from the templates that are built into Squarespace. Like, they have built in everything you need to start selling your prints or other products directly from your website. So yeah, if you think it's time for upgrading your website or getting a new one, head over to squarespace.com/Morten Hilmer to start your 14 days free trial, and you can use the off code Morten Hilmer to get 10% off your first purchase. But now let's try to take this camera, leave the stuff here, maybe have a sip of water, and then go to a tree I have found here in the little forest, which I think is a perfect example on the different challenges there can be when setting up a game camera. Yeah, let's go. The reason why we are doing it here instead of at a den is because we don't want to disturb. So normally I think most people will set up the game camera down here in eye levels with the animals, but there are some challenges about that. If the animals are coming through the vegetation, the camera will not see the movement because the animals are covered. Where if you have the camera on top, it will see the animals from upside down or a little upside down, so that, no, not upside down, from above. Upside down is so, isn't it? And then you can see it from the top, you will see the back of the animal through the vegetation, and that will trigger the camera. So if we use this as an example, and you have the trail coming from over there, and you set the camera down here in this level. I know this is like a rough example, but it's just to point it out. You will have the wind in these moving them, and they will trigger the camera. And they will also shade for the animal, and even though you are putting it out a little to the side, they will still trigger the camera. Even though it's only grass, it can be grass, it can be small waves. When you're close to the subject, it's just very distracting for the sensor. So try to have rule number 1, always look for moving subjects that will, even though you're putting up on a silent day, if the wind will make things move, you will trigger your camera. So there are 2 ways of avoiding this. One is to go to a location without any vegetation, but usually we are dictated to where the trail is or where the den is. So another solution is to change your position of the camera. That's why we are going up there. Let me just show you a little smart tip here. Here we go. And because it's not in a good angle, I take it out here, put a stick, and then I tighten it, like so. And then this one, just so that it does not faff around and trigger the sensor, like that. This is basically how the camera will see the ground, and this is what the camera sees if we get to a lower level. So what I do now is turn on the camera, send a code from my phone telling the camera to take a test photo and send it back to me. This way I can see if the location is perfect, I need to make small adjustments. I can see if the connectivity, like the signal, is good, and I can see if there are any other minor adjustments I have to make. So yeah, let's do that. Here, let's turn it on and make a test. So I'm now in the SMS mode of my phone, and I ask the camera to send me a test photo by pressing star 500 square and send. And now hopefully soon there will be a little photo, picture sending. There it is. And that is perfect. Yeah, that was great. Now we know exactly what we need to know before we can turn back home. We know, one, the camera is positioned very good because it is looking exactly where we want to see. There are no disturbance, no movements that can trigger the camera except from animals. And number two, the camera is actually, it has connection, and it is probably set up because we can send an SMS command to it and we can receive a photo. That means it's working. If we want to check one more time, we can do like this. We can go in and say hi to the camera, and soon I reckon we'll get a picture on this phone again. Let me just check, and I'll show you when I get it in my pocket. Now let me talk a little about these commands, because you can just, when you get the camera, you can either download an app or you can send SMS text messages. I'm just not a good friend with the different apps, so I like to remember these 5 commands I use for actually changing sensitivity, turning camera on off, add phone numbers and stuff like that, and I just have taken a picture of the list with my phone so I can always go and check that. The good thing about being able to control the camera, I don't know if I talked about it earlier, but it's bing, look at this. Yeah, that's a picture of me with my vlogging camera, just came in, so camera is definitely working. These codes I use are very great because if there is during the day some light that makes the sensor trigger, you can turn the camera off, and then you can say maybe at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock you turn it on again. Also, you can turn on the sensitivity from low, middle to high, and then of course off. That's really good. There's so many things you can use in these cameras. They can do time lapses. They can do, being set to work only in the night or only in the day from this time to that time. It can send video clips and photos in high resolution to your email. It can all. Let me move away. Now I'm tricking the camera while I'm moving my arms, as I always do. There are so many things these cameras can do, and I use maybe a fraction of this because the only thing I need to know is to see, are there animals, what animals, and when do they come, what do they do, so I can get a closer look into this amazing world of these shy animals like the badger and the fox. That is extremely valuable to me, to know their behavior and to know what time they come and what time they leave. And that is also why I'm calling the trail camera my secret weapon for wildlife photography, because I believe that is a secret weapon, because the animals does not know it's there, and it can be there while I'm sleeping, while I'm doing other stuff, while I'm editing this video. So yeah, 3 days from now I'm going back to that little island with a scientist to observe and to photograph and film these amazing badgers. It's a family with 3 generations, the old ones, the cubs from last year, and now apparently new cubs. I'm taking this down again, the other one, bringing them to the island to cover even a bigger area, so I know where do they hunt, when do they hunt, what way do they leave the area, where do they come in, because that is extremely valuable for me, because it tells me 2 things. When do I have to be there, and where do I have to position myself? But I promise you, I do promise, I'll make videos from out there. I have made video. I have just been too busy photographing. I haven't had time for editing YouTube videos. So I can't wait to share that with you, because it is truly amazing and these badgers are so lovely. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you out there.